The third season of Daredevil has just been released on Netflix, and we pick up once again with Matt Murdock following the end of The Defenders, where he supposedly died but obviously didn't. And this time around he's going through a bit of a crisis of faith because he's wrestling with inner demons. He doesn't want to be Matt Murdock the lawyer anymore. He sees himself as Daredevil, but he's struggling to decide whether or not he wants to cross certain lines to ensure criminals don't bother his city anymore. And he's got to make a decision on that very quickly because Wilson Fisk is back on the rise, and if you saw season 1 you know Wilson Fisk being back on the scene is not good news for New York City. So Matt Murdock, Foggy Nelson and Karen Page have to figure out a way to bring Wilson Fisk to justice once and for all. Given how much I love season 1 and season 2, I was very much excited for Daredevil season 3, and I'm just as excited to sit here and tell you guys that season 3 is another outstanding addition to this show. The thing that makes season 3 work so well is Wilson Fisk as a villain. One concern I had going into season 3 was it going to feel repetitive to season 1, you know, trying to take down Wilson Fisk again. It did not feel repetitive whatsoever. In fact, it may be more compelling in season 3 than it was in season 1 for me, because Wilson Fisk is such a fascinatingly complex character who has such commanding screen presence. I mean, Vincent D'Onofrio is unbelievably good as his character, and in later episodes of season 3 you start to see how much of an influence he has, not just in the criminal underworld but in the government as well, and how he can easily manipulate people into working for him. And it's really quite scary how much influence he actually has, and that's what makes season 3 so compelling for me. The mission to bring Wilson Fisk to justice is such an engaging one. I was so with Matt Murdock and Karen Page and Foggy Nelson, and you really just want these guys to bring Wilson Fisk down because of how much of a douchebag he is. And towards the latter half of season 3 you see how far his reach goes and how big of a toll it takes on the characters, and at a point I was just sitting there and I literally was thinking, I don't know how they're going to beat this guy. I really don't. He's always 5 steps ahead, and he's so smart and so methodical and so calculated. He's just such an incredible villain, and if it wasn't him as the villain in season 3, and if it wasn't the drive to bring him to justice in season 3, I don't think season 3 would have worked as well as it did. And within that mission to bring down Wilson Fisk, pretty much every character gets something meaty and compelling to do. One criticism I've had with some of the other Marvel Netflix shows is how some of the side characters don't get anywhere near as interesting stuff to do as the main title character, and whenever it deviates from the main character to the side characters, I want it to cut back to the main character and their story arc. But with Daredevil season 3, when it cut away from Matt Murdock to like Karen Page or Foggy Nelson or Agent Nadeem, I was constantly invested because again, they all have compelling stuff to do, and it all feeds into that one main storyline, that one main mission to bring down Wilson Fisk. And in that, season 3 was never once boring for me, it never once slowed down for me. I was constantly invested from episode 1 all the way to the heart-pounding final episode. So the storytelling is completely on point, and the character work is also fantastic. Matt Murdock's inner struggle was really compelling, some new stuff for him to think about, and season 3 made me a bigger fan of Karen Page as well. I was always a fan of the Karen Page character. I liked her in season 1 and season 2 very much, but the way they handle her and the way they explore her in season 3 makes her a much more compelling character than she was before. Like there's one episode where the first half of it explores a bit of her backstory, and I was floored by that episode and her backstory in particular. I was like, wow, Karen Page, you've been through some stuff. So as far as I'm concerned, Karen Page is one of the very best supporting characters of any Marvel Netflix show thanks to season 3 of Daredevil. But the biggest surprise for me in terms of characters in season 3 was actually the Agent Nadeem character. At first, I didn't know what to think about him. You see him with his family, and you see that he's an FBI agent who wants to be a bigger success than he is to impress his son. But I just didn't really attach to him at first, but as the season goes on, you start to like him more and more and more, and you start to care about him more and more. And then when it gets to the final few episodes, you're like, oh my god, dude, I am sorry I ever doubted you. You are in one hell of a predicament, and you just really empathize with him a hell of a lot. They did character growth very well with Agent Nadeem. And Poindexter, aka Bullseye, aka the fake Daredevil from the trailers, he was a very interesting character as well. And every time he was on screen and he was getting more and more angry and more unsettled, it was really uncomfortable, and I mean that in the best way possible. I was just getting really uneasy just watching this guy lose his crap, and the scenes where he's the fake Daredevil fighting the real Daredevil were also really awesome. And yes, we can't talk about Daredevil without mentioning the fight scenes, and the fight scenes in season 3 are once again really well choreographed and very entertaining to watch. There's no fight scene that comes close to say the hallway fight in season 1 or the stairway fight in season 2, but they're still extremely well done, especially this one massive sequence sequence in a prison in episode 4. It's all one take and it goes on for about 10 minutes. That sequence just made my jaw drop. And outside of the fight scenes, the camera work, the directing, the cinematography, the lighting is all once again extremely well done. The level of craftsmanship on display in Daredevil just never ceases to amaze me. So overall guys, in case you couldn't already tell, I loved season 3 of Daredevil. I think it might be the least best of the Daredevil seasons compared to season 1 and 2, but I mean, considering how great season 1 and season 2 are, that's not a surprise. But season 3 is still incredibly compelling. The mission to bring down Wilson Fisk is incredibly engaging. You're really with the characters to bring this guy down once and for all. I was invested from beginning to end. This is another outstanding addition to Daredevil and the MCU Netflix library overall. I thought Daredevil season 3 was bloody brilliant, and I'm gonna give it a 5 out of 5. So guys, have you watched Daredevil season 3? What did you think about it, and how would you rank the 3 seasons of Daredevil? Whatever your thoughts are, tell me in the comments below, and if you want to see more of my stuff, click on one of these things in a second, and I'll see you all next time.